All right, so the way this is going to work is we're going to have some opening remarks, and then each candidate is going to have the opportunity to speak for about 2 minutes. They can talk about their platform. We ask that they have no personal attacks or directed attacks towards other individuals. If anybody is live streaming this event or recording this event, could you raise your hands and just let us know? All right, so we got about 5 people, just so everybody is informed. All right. Okay, so the speaking order for each person answering the question will be determined by a random generator that I have on this computer. I have tested it thoroughly and made sure that it is in fact random. We're going to start with the select board because they have the bulk of the questions, and then we will move to the moderator. The candidate that gets to speak first will be, again, determined by the random number generator. Are there any questions? No? All right, excellent. Let's begin. Okay, and I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. These are for introductions. You get to talk a little bit about yourself and what your platform is resting on. And I'll turn this a little bit just so you guys can also see it. Okay, actually I should do 1 minute. Okay, it's working, good.
Mr. Moderator,
Starting with.
Yes,
your rule said we had 2 minutes for our opening comments.
is it 2 minutes for opening remarks? Let me look. No, sorry, so opening remarks and rules review is 2 minutes for me.
Oh, okay.
Candidate introductions are 60 seconds per
All right,
candidate.
that's fine.
Yep. All right. And we have, first up is Mr. De Bruin, and I'm going to start the clock if you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm Chris De Bruin. I moved to Brimfield about 10 years ago with my wife and my 3 children. I've been a business leader and also an attorney at law. I have a total of 31 years experience nationally doing that. I've spent a lot of time managing budgets, reviewing contracts, solving complicated problems, and also making sure that organizations run responsibly with careful decision-making. I'm here because I strongly believe in representative government, and I'm ready to go to work for our town. So thank you.
And Mr. Harry.
My name is Christopher Harry. I moved here in 2012 with my wife and daughter. I retired out of the military in 2020 with over 20 years of service, 5 deployments in the Middle East in very high-stress situations, and I think that preps me pretty well to take care of things at a town level here. As far as civilian career, I've been managing contracts in budgets upwards of $5 million and in category standards of up to $60 million in some of the categories I work with. So high numbers, lots of stress and decision-making there. But really, what I want to do for Brimfield is just be here for everybody. If you want to come to a meeting and speak, you can speak. If you want to come to a meeting and bring up something, I think you should be able to. I don't think it should be stifled, and I think that we all should have a say every time.
All right, and now moving on to the moderator section. Mr. Frazier is up first.
Mitch Frazier, Rex Mitchell Frazier is my full name, but I use Mitch. We've been here since 1983. I moved here with my family, restored an old farmhouse up in Tower Hill, raised our kids here, loved the town, served as selectman in the 80s, been very involved in a lot of committees and different groups. And I think that I do this because I feel that we have to give back to our town. And being moderator is a good way to do it, very neutral position, but I enjoy doing it, and that's why I'm at it. My wife is not happy that I do all this, but that's the way it works. Thank you.
All right, and up next, we have Mr. McNally.
Hello, my name is Brian McNally. I moved to Brimfield in 2015, built a house in 2017 on Wales Road. I live here with my wife and 2 children. My oldest is a freshman at Bridgewater State University, and my youngest is in the 8th grade over at Tantascwa. My professional careers, I've been a police officer, both in Palmer until about 7 years ago. Then I moved to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where I've been a police officer for 7 years. I love my job. It's all about justice and hearing everybody's side and making the right decisions. I decided to request people's support to be moderator because I'm not a complainer. If I don't think something's going the way it should be, I get myself involved. So I'm choosing to get myself involved in this way to help the town.
All right, and last up is Mr. Miller.
Good evening. I've had the opportunity to serve as a moderator for 14 years here in Brimfield. I did step down during that term because I didn't feel a select person should also be the moderator. So I had stepped down for the 3 years that I was on the Board of Selectmen and then ran again. Previously, I was 9 years in Sturbridge. I've been a member of the Massachusetts Moderators Association now for over 25 years, and they're the ones that write the book that we go by. And I'm still a member of there. And the reason I like being moderator is very simple, and I think I've read this to you all before. It's in the town meeting book. Abraham Lincoln describes American democracy as government by the people, by the people. But in New England town, the government is literally by the people governed, acting on each problem as they individually deem wise. No more perfect form of democracy exists. And I agree, and that's why I love town meeting and I love moderating it. And I hope you'll send me back.
All right. Now that we're done with the introductions, we're going to move into the pre-prepared questions, which were created by myself, no input from anyone. All right, so let's hold them up side by side. Okay, first up is going to be Mr. Harry. What do you see, you have, 60 seconds to answer this. What do you see as the most significant challenge or opportunity facing Brimfield over the next 3 years, and what role should the Select Board play in addressing it?
It's a great question. Actually, I looked at a financial report the state did back in, it was 2023, so a few years ago at this point. They pointed out very clearly that the capital plan needed to be better. The plan for the structures in town, the buildings, that all needs to get a little bit better. And I think that the capital planning committee is a good step in that direction. I foresee the next 5, 10, 15 years being very important to us as far as the spend. I know people haven't approved things in the past, some of the projects that have been put out there, but we do have to get a good set of projects on the books and have people moving towards that direction of approving these things. The challenges are going to be the collaboration. I feel like boards and committees right now are a little bit separated and kind of out in their own islands. And if we can bring that collaboration back together, let people do the jobs they're supposed to do in their boards and committees, I feel like that's going to help the town move forward. And the select board's role in that is really just a conductor. You're there to orchestrate everything and get input and help the town make a decision.
Okay, and the same question to Mr. DeBruin, I will read it again. What do you see as the most significant challenge or opportunity facing Brimfield over the next 3 years? And what role should the Select Board play in addressing it?
Well, first, I think that we have a great community, and One of the best opportunities that we have is the fact that we have so many qualified volunteers working for all of us for the better of the community. And when the face of the community is good, you attract certain businesses that also match the face of the community. Businesses like the distillery and the winery. And those are great opportunities for us, and we have to keep up with that. And the reason being is because with less state funds available and less federal funds over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, we have some challenges ahead of us. It's not just the capital improvement plan, that's just one piece of it. We also have challenges with the fact that teacher salaries are going up, cost of goods and services are going up, and we have a finite tax revenue, and it's not keeping up with our overhead. We have to figure out a way to stop spending free cash. That's what we need to do.
All right, we're going to move on into the moderator questions, and I will jump back between select board and moderator, just so everybody has the opportunity to speak. First up for the moderator questions is going to be Mr. Miller. The question is, how do you understand the role and responsibilities of the town moderator, particularly in relation to town meeting participants and town officials?
Simple, run a fair meeting and have it organized so you don't have like people just getting up and talking and so forth. And second, and I feel bad for Mitch in the last couple of years, I think we need better town council there advising him than what he's had the last couple of years. That's one of the fortunate things I had for many years sitting up here, is a town council next to me that really knew about the rules, what we were supposed to be doing as far as town meeting time and so forth. And I had to go to them. But it's also very important to stay in touch of what rules are changing and so forth, and that's why I'm a member of the Mass Moderators Association.
Okay, up next is Mr. Frazier. The same question, how do you understand the role and responsibility of the town moderator, particularly in relation to town meeting participants and town officials?
I feel your role is to be very neutral. You do not take a stand, you do not project any of your opinions. You allow anyone on the floor to speak and give their opinions and put it forward. You keep the meeting very calm and very kind to everybody, because we're all members here of the same community. And that's how I feel too. Being a selectman, I completely divorce myself of any opinions or any voting or anything. And I think that's a very important point for the moderator. You do not vote unless it's a tie. It's right in our book, our rules.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, and last up is Mr. McNally with how do you understand the role and responsibilities of the town moderator, particularly in relation to town meeting participants and town officials?
Like the other gentleman said, it's the town moderator's position to run the meeting fairly, efficiently, and make sure everybody understands what they're voting on before the votes actually happen. So I believe that it's the moderator's responsibility to make sure that things are being done according to state law and our town bylaws, using the Mass Moderators Association rules, and I believe that it's the moderator's responsibility to make sure that everybody understands what's going on before actually calling for a vote and giving everybody the opportunity to express their opinion on the matter.
All right, back to the select board. First up is Mr. De Bruin. Describe your approach to decision-making when residents hold strongly differing views on an issue. How do you weigh competing perspectives?
That's a great question. I actually like to hear other people's perspectives. I think that especially when you're problem solving, when we have complicated issues to resolve, We need to hear many different perspectives. I've always said the more people you have in a room, the easier and the more efficient that you can solve a problem. So my approach has always been to listen to others, to have dialogue with others, to go out into the community and speak to people. I've spoken to employees. I've spoken recently to over 100 residents within our community about some of our challenges here. And if elected as a select board member, that's the same approach that I would take with even folks who disagree with me. I'd want to hear their perspective and their opinion.
All right, and the same question now to Mr. Harry. Describe your approach to decision-making when residents hold strongly differing views on the issue. How do you weigh competing perspectives?
I couldn't agree more that differing opinions are always great. Many times in my career in the military, I went in with one thought in my mind that I thought was completely correct. Someone came in with a differing point of view and totally changed my mind about an entire process we had. That happened not once, but multiple times. So listening to everyone fairly and equally is one of the biggest things. Fair access at meetings is a big part of that. People who have comments or questions about agenda items should be able to speak and ask those questions. And that would be one of the things I pushed immediately. Not just public access at the beginning, but actually public access to questions and solutions, providing solutions that are for items on the agenda. I think there's many people in this town who don't necessarily volunteer for boards or committees, but have amazing ideas, and we should be able to foster those and get more input from the community.
Okay, and next we're going to move to the moderator questions again. The question is, how will you balance the need to run town meetings efficiently with ensuring that every resident who wishes to speak has a fair and meaningful opportunity to do so? Mr. Miller.
I'm sorry, who?
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. What I've done is always organize in the front some reserved chairs, because I want people to be sitting down so they can get up and come there. And if it's a very controversial issue, what I'll try to do is ask somebody who's in favor of this versus somebody opposed, versus letting one group just totally hold on to the meeting. But I try to make sure it's fair, but also cordial and nice to each other, versus people just standing up and yelling out questions and so forth. I won't allow that.
Okay, and up next is Mr. McNally. How will you balance the need to run town meetings efficiently while ensuring that every resident who wishes to speak has a fair and meaningful opportunity to do so?
Well, town meeting is the time for the residents to speak up and give their thoughts on a matter or ask questions on a matter. So I think it's important that everybody get that opportunity to ask their questions, to make their feelings known. I certainly haven't shied away from speaking when I thought there was something that needed to be spoken about. And I think that every member of the community has the right to make their feelings known. Now, as far as keeping an efficient meeting, eventually, people are saying the same things over and over, so you don't want to stifle the conversation, but if it's the same thing again and again, you're probably going to try and move forward.
All right, thank you. And last up is Mr. Frazier with how will you balance the need to run town meetings efficiently while ensuring that every resident who wishes to speak has a fair and meaningful opportunity to do so?
You always give everyone a chance to come forward. There have been times when they've tried to hurry me through, but you can see people are still standing there and want to talk. They need to put their opinion forward, but you have to read the crowd. And as mentioned by Brian here, when it starts to get repetitive and you can tell the crowd's had enough, it's time to move the question. So we just try to kind of keep a read on the room and what's going on and do it like that.
All right, we're going to stay with the town moderator candidates for the third and final question for the prepared questions. All right, and first up again is Mr. Frazier. Town meeting can involve complex articles with legal or financial language that may be difficult for residents to follow. How would you help ensure that voters understand what they are being asked to decide?
Typically, whoever has put forward whatever article it is, we try to get them to explain it as fully as possible. And if there are questions, we will stop the people on the floor from asking questions and go back so they can clarify the situation. And that's the best way.
All right. Mr. Miller, town meeting can involve complex articles with legal or financial language that may be difficult for residents to follow. How would you help ensure that voters understand what they are being asked to decide?
Well, one of the things I've always done is to meet with both the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee prior to the meeting, so we can go through those articles and find out which ones are going to be confusing and so forth, so I can make sure they're going to explain it to the people before we vote it. And if we have a third party who's got an article, I might even have that person come forward and meet with us in advance so we know what we have to deal with. And that's important. And back to the last question real quickly, as long as I have a few seconds. I agree that you should allow everybody to talk, but every once in a while you can tell we've had enough discussion on something. So what I've tried to do, even if there are people still sitting up here, I'll ask the people, is there anybody else out there that needs any additional information to vote? And it's amazing. Sometimes you'll get people to raise their hand, but other times no. So you just have to use some common sense sometimes so you can keep the meeting going. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and last up is Mr. McNally. Town meeting can involve complex articles with legal or financial language that may be difficult for residents to follow. How would you help ensure that voters understand what they are being asked to decide?
Well, I think the first step in making sure or trying to help your residents understand is for you to do your research beforehand so that you understand the question and you understand what the article is asking people to vote. And then maybe prepare something ahead of time so that if somebody has a question about it, you can explain it to them in different terms so that everybody understands. And then, like Mr. Miller said, maybe ask, everybody understand now? And move forward from there.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving back to the select board candidates, we're going to ask the third and final prepared question. Brimfield relies heavily on volunteers to staff many boards and committees. What would you do as a select board member to support volunteerism and ensure these bodies can function effectively? And first up is going to be Mr. Harry.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of serving on the Age-Friendly Disability Commission. I've put in a letter of interest for the Capital Planning Committee that's currently being formed. It's big for citizens to feel the drive and motivation to want to help the town, and we have to take that and let them run with it. So if people are applying to do these things, they need to be talked to, find out what they know, see where they can help, and if that committee is possibly not for them, maybe another one would be. But people being involved and wanting to help makes the process so much better. You can't just put people on boards and hope it's going to go well. They have to have an interest. And I think that the current situation with the building committee is a little rough because we've had 2 building committees disbanded. So now currently, right now, we have no good input coming to the select board or other committees and boards for the buildings in town.
Okay, and Mr. De Bruin, the same question. Brimfield relies on volunteers to staff many boards and committees. What would you do as a select board member to support volunteerism and ensure these bodies can function effectively?
Well, I've demonstrated over the course of my volunteering for the community that I can first and foremost work cooperatively with anyone and everyone. And I think that's really important. We have to have different perspectives on these boards and committees. And it's also important to encourage community members that it's a safe place to come and volunteer and do some good for your town, right? We need to encourage volunteers. We need to praise volunteers. We need not to critique volunteers. And we need to allow them to do good work in our community for all of us. And I've already gone out and began speaking to residents about their qualifications and the needs of the town. And I already have some leads on individuals, hopefully, that we can appoint for some new building committee members as well.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move into the questions that folks have asked, put in on index cards. I'm going to start with the questions that appear to be for everyone. Okay, I think there's actually just one that is for everyone. So the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to read out a name, and then they will respond to the question. I will give you 60 seconds as well. Let me... Okay. All right, Mr. De Bruin, 1 minute. The question is, have you ever bullied or intimidated small business owners by blowing your horn loudly at their customers, town officials, or by the homes of those you disagree with?
No.
And Mr. Harry?
That's a legitimate question, huh? Can you read it one more time? I just want to hear it.
Sorry, here, I'll stop the clock.
Oh, you're fine. It'll take
Okay.
me 2 seconds.
Yeah, have you ever bullied or intimidated small business owners by blowing your horn loudly at their customers, town officials, or by the homes of those you disagree with?
No, I have not. Oh, that's not very polite. Who?
Yeah, guys, no comments from the audience, please. All right, and for the moderator candidates, in order, Mr. Frazier, have you ever bullied or intimidated small business owners by blowing your horn loudly at their customers, town officials, or by the homes of those you disagree with?
No, sir, I have never done that. That's
Okay.
very rude.
Yes, and next in line,
No, I have not.
okay, and next.
Nope, haven't
Okay.
done that.
Neither have I, so that's good. All right, so that was the only one that was addressed to everyone. All right.
We should let the citizens interact on it if they want. No.
Well, yeah, I have a specific procedure
Sure.
here, and I'm going to try to stick to it. But I am open to feedback for next year.
Agreed.
All right. Okay, so let's do the select board questions. And because there are so many, I'm going to actually ask the select board candidates and see if you guys are okay with this. If I read a question and then you respond to it just sort of in order, or do you want to do the random selection process?
In order.
Because there's only two of you, we basically can alternate, so each of you will get the chance to go first on a question.
I'll defer to
Whatever
you.
works.
Okay, all right. Okay, the first question, we'll start with Mr. Harry. How important is it for a select board member to have a personal record of full compliance with the town's zoning and safety regulations?
These are fun questions. So I agree that that is going to be a very important topic, especially when, I mean, I'll be honest, I have an ongoing zoning issue that's in land court currently. So I believe I'm going to win that one because it's a pretty far overreach with the no due process for me and that situation. So yes, you should be in compliance, and you should do what you know is right by the bylaws.
All right, thank you. And how important is it for a select board member to have a personal record of full compliance with the town's zoning and safety regulations?
I think it's really important. You have to lead as a model to others. And, you know, when I've been speaking to residents in the community, there are many residents in the community that are concerned about commercial enterprises, not just in the commercially zoned areas, but also the residential and agricultural areas. And the bylaws exist to protect our residents in residential areas and agricultural areas from commercial enterprises. I'm also a strong supporter of private property rights, very much so. I don't care what my neighbors are doing as long as they're following the rules. So I would expect my neighbors to expect me to also follow the rules. And I'm a consummate rule follower as a lawyer, so.
Okay, thank you. We're going to start with Mr. DeBruin again. How would you describe your approach to resolving disagreements with residents, especially when those residents express concerns about safety or transparency?
It's kind of similar to the previous question, which is dialogue, right? I think this day and age, too many people get used to not looking at people in their eyes, you know, not sitting across the table from them, not having a personal touch with individuals. I think too many people try to resolve conflicts and issues through email and online and all these other measures. That's not how I operate. I handle conflict for a living. That is my role. And I've found that as a lawyer, I don't have to win every single argument. Part of that is finding compromise and accommodations with folks to try to get to an end result, which is a win-win solution for everyone. And that's how I conduct myself professionally and how I would do it as a select board member.
All right, and Mr. Harry, how would you describe your approach to resolving disagreements with residents, especially when those residents express concerns about safety or transparency?
As a person who challenges what I see to be incorrect at times, people that come forward and have those kind of issues and concerns, it's coming from a place of what they believe to be good intent. And if they're held back or are not given the information they're seeking, they tend to get more upset about it. I think that open communication at meetings, town meetings, that's what will make these things better, is people have to understand what they're asking of their elected officials, and the elected officials have to understand what the people that have elected them are asking them to do.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then Mr. Harry again, how do you respond to concerns that a candidate who struggles to meet the statutory meeting requirements or basic duties of a volunteer committee may not be prepared for the significantly higher workload and legal responsibilities of the select board?
Well, this is in direct reference to me being on the Age-Friendly Disability Commission committee, so I'll hit that head on. We had a committee that was established from pretty much nothing. It was kind of defunct, and we took it back on. We voiced our concerns, tried to move the needle on the sidewalk project. Was one of the things we attempted to work. We kind of got put off to the side and weren't allowed to do things. And then due to meeting requirements and people on the committee, it was tough to make the meetings work. So instead of coming to us and asking for solutions or assisting, I think that the disbanding was kind of incorrect. Maybe we should have been given a chance to make that better. But that doesn't, you don't have to be the best select board member, the best any board member. You have to have a willingness to do the things to help the citizens in town. So if people want to count it as a failure, that's fine, but it's not.
Okay, and Mr. DeBruin, how do you respond to concerns that a candidate who struggles to meet the statutory meeting requirements or basic duties of a volunteer committee may not be prepared for the significantly higher workload and legal responsibilities of the select board?
Well, I'm just going to comment on how I would handle that. You know, first and foremost, I'm a professional. I have a department of people that I oversee. There are 57 people that I oversee across the country. We deal with thousands of disputes. I'm a serious individual. I organize myself. I'm extremely disciplined. And quite honestly, you have to find the time to get results. That is what is required. So it doesn't matter what I do in my career or my personal life or as a select board member, I will find the way to get results through the same form of discipline that I use as a professional. And I have no doubt, I'm confident that I can do that on behalf of our community.
All right, jumping over to the moderator to give them something to do. We're going to start with Mr. Frazier. If there is a tie vote, which includes the moderator's vote, what is the correct procedure?
If there's a tied vote, the moderator should not have voted. The moderator only votes when it's a tie on the floor, and then he is the tiebreaker, for or against. That's how you handle it.
All right, and the same question to Mr. Miller, which is, if there's a tie vote, which include the moderator's vote, what is the correct procedure?
The procedure has changed. What Mitch just said is the correct way it used to be if you held up cards or whatever and you voted. And you took that count, and then yes, the moderator. But the Massachusetts Moderators Association changed that when we went to counters. Because the purpose of the counter is not only to get counts quickly, but to keep every vote secret. So as moderator, once we got the counters, I did announce at the beginning of the meeting, I will be voting with my counter. So that way you don't know how I voted. And that's what the Mass Moderators Association recommended that we do. Now, to the best of my knowledge, it has never happened since our town or any other town in Massachusetts that went to counters that there was a tie. So, but that's the only, prior to that, I agree with Mitch 100%. You don't vote unless it's a tie. But now that we've gone to counters and your votes are private, the Mass Moderators Association says you should
Thank you.
vote. You're welcome.
Okay, and Mr. McNally, if there's a tie vote, which includes the moderator's vote, what is the correct procedure?
Well, I think as the moderator, I probably wouldn't vote unless there was a tie, because that's the purpose of the moderator, is to break the tie. So even though the Mass Moderators Association says your vote's private and you can vote, you solve the problem by not voting unless you're absolutely required to because of a tie. So I think I would leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. All right, another question for Mr. McNally. Do you feel that the current town meeting location at the school is the best option, and what would you do to help improve the attendance of voters?
To improve the attendance of voters, I think that, the town meeting has to be well advertised with a copy of the warrant so that everybody knows exactly what's going on and when the meeting is. As far as this location being the best, I'm not sure about that. Town meeting has been very crowded in the past and not enough seating in this room. I know there has been some non-binding questions about maybe moving to Tantascwa High School, and I don't know if that's even a realistic choice because it's not within the boundaries of town, so I don't know if that's an option. However, if it was an option, I would probably ask if that can be done, and if it need be that, we arrange transportation in some way, whether it be the senior bus or something, then.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up is Mr. Miller. Do you feel that the current town meeting location at the school is the best option, and what would you do to help improve the attendance of voters?
Well, as far as increasing attendance, all we can keep doing is publicize it and let people know. As far as having it here, I do believe everybody should be sitting down at a meeting. I don't like people standing up, walking around in the back, number one. And number two, I've done it once or twice, having to use the gym too. It's just very hard to do that. I was pleasantly pleased when Mitch put up as a test question on the counters last meeting, how many people voted Tantascwa. Now, I don't know if you did that deliberately or not, but I was in a state of positive shock. And as far as transportation, by the way, and I don't want to speak for her, but our superintendent has said if we moved it to Tantascwa, she would get us buses that could come and meet down like at the senior center and bring people up. The only negative part to that would be, obviously, they have to stay till the meeting's over. But other than that, I've run 9 meetings at Tantascwa, and it's incredible. Sound system, the chairs, and so forth.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and Mr. Frazier, do you feel the current town meeting location at the school is the best option? And what would you do to help improve the attendance of voters?
To improve the attendance, it's just getting the word out there. And you're only going to have those coming for whatever articles they want to support or argue for or against. At this point, this is our best option for meetings. And I've heard it from many of the people in town, they don't want to go out of town. Personally, I think we should use Tantascwa because of the size, the space, the comfort. But at this point, this is where we're going to have it. We can do up to 300 in this room. Makes it very crowded, and when it's hot, it's terrible. But it's our town, this is where we are. If some of us, and I'm looking around, remember at the town hall, we never had trouble having meetings there. And we had all of our town meetings at that place. So it's a tough choice.
All right, thank you very much. Now, this last question is, actually, there's 2 questions here, but we're going to go in order, starting with Mr. McNally. Are you familiar with the Mass Moderators Association, and if elected, is this something you plan to participate in?
Actually, Mr. Miller, when I told him that I was running, or he learned that I was running, told me about the Mass Moderators Association. I did have years of experience running meetings for the Grange. I don't know how many of you remember the Grange back in the day. I belonged to Palmer Grange for a long time and was the president at some point during that, and before that, when I lived in the East, I was the president of East Bridgewater Grange. So I have plenty of experience running meetings. Mass Moderators Association may be a little different. I have been on their website looking at things and reading the Moderator's Guide, so I am familiar with that, and yes, I would be joining the Mass Moderators Association if elected.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Miller, just a moment. Okay, are you familiar with the Mass Moderators Association, and if elected, is this something you plan to participate in?
As I stated before, I've been a member now for over 25 years, treasurer of it for 7 or 8 years, and even though I haven't been a moderator the past 3 years, I've stayed on as a member. Today alone, I read over 10 emails between moderators with some really educational things of situations that they're having at their meeting and how they're handling it. And so the feedback that you get from the fellow moderators, as far as going to meetings, you only have to go once a year. There's one meeting a year. Sometimes it's in Waltham, sometimes it's in Worcester. But other than that, it's all done on the internet, so it's very simple to follow, and they're phenomenal. And they have over 200 and some members.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. Frazier, are you familiar with the Mass Moderators Association, and if elected, is this something you plan to participate in?
Mike has been very, very forward about trying to get me to join and get involved, and how it's all online. I just haven't had time to do that. I do a lot of other things. It's online, you can do it that way, perhaps I would do it, I don't know. It's just, I don't know where the value would be. I know Mike says with the discussions, but each town meeting is unique in how you do it and how you handle your people and how they react. So that's a good question. I'm really not sure I would or not.
Okay, thank you. All right, and we're going to start with Mr. Frazier again. How would you advocate to make town meeting more efficient and easy for everyone to understand?
Be very clear when you bring the articles up so it's well understood what you're trying to move through. It's hard to make it go fast. If people understand better what's happening, then I think the meetings move much faster. You do not want to cut them down and restrict the number of people who can speak. That's just, they're here to do that. So that's a tough one to answer.
Okay, thank you. And the same question to Mr. Miller. How would you advocate to make town meeting more efficient and easy for everyone to understand?
I felt when I ran the meetings, they were efficient. I was pleased the way the meetings went. I felt they were well organized. I thought they were fair. And yes, it's very important that the people do, though, know what they're voting for, and that's why I'll make sure if I feel an article is, questionable or whatever, to have Mr. Jones explain his article first before we go to vote it, so then the people know what they're voting for. That is important. People need to know what they're voting for. I also think we have a very well-organized meeting, as far as how we do the line items now. It used to be we read all 145. I thought it was great when we started putting together, all right, does any hold on the police department, lines 10 to 20? That expedited the meeting quite a bit when I changed it to that. And people liked it. Nobody was upset about doing that. And same on articles that it said no action. I make sure the people out there know, Articles 9, 10, and 11, there's no action. So if you have any comments, bring them to me so we can vote them. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. McNally, how would you advocate to make town meeting more efficient and easy for everyone to understand?
Well, I think in the past 10 years or so, it has become a lot more efficient, either with Mr. Miller's bundling of the line items or going to the clickers. I think that has been great. I don't know if that came from the moderator's office or not, but I think the clickers have been wonderful in getting votes tallied very quickly and not having to have a bunch of people going around counting. As far as making sure the meetings are efficient, I think that, making sure people understand what's going on is more important than going fast. But I think that getting through all of the articles in a timely manner is the ultimate goal, to get through them in a timely manner that everybody understands.
All right, thank you. Okay, that was the last question for the moderators. What I'm going to do at this point is open up the floor for a few minutes if anybody wants to ask questions of any candidate in particular, or to all three candidates for moderator, with a goal of hopefully letting them leave if they so choose, because we have a massive stack for select board. So does anybody, okay, you sir. Yeah, if you don't mind, you can come up and talk with the microphone here. And I'm actually going to give 30 seconds, just so we can get through these.
Thank you for doing this. Gentlemen, just this might be a little tougher for Mr. McNally, but just for the two of you who have served before.
Can we ask your name and address, please?
Oh, sure. It's Eric Jager, 1497 downtown Brimfield Road. For the two of you who have served before, is there anything, looking back with the benefit of hindsight, that you would do differently? And for Mr. McNally, I guess within that, is there something you think, because I don't want you to pick on something somebody else has done, but how you think might, as a new person, might differentiate you from the way things have been done in the past?
I really don't think I would do anything differently. I think the meetings have run well, smoothly. There really haven't been any problems. So no, I don't think I'd change it.
Mr. Miller?
I'm proud to say I was the one, by the way, who brought in the clickers. If I hadn't said that before, I'm the one that introduced them. I thought they were important. I wasn't going to bring this up, but yes, one time I did make a mistake, because I tell people you can't get up unless you recognize it. Unfortunately, that person I didn't realize could not hear me. And so I made a mistake, and I apologize for that. But other than that, I think I've done a pretty good job running 14 meetings here in town.
Okay. I'll let you run over, because
I'm
that
done.
was from the, well, it was from the other person, actually, so Mr. Frazier. So, Mr. McNally?
Well, I thought I made a mistake once, but I was wrong. No. So, I just think running an efficient meeting that everybody understands is what's important. And I think that in some past town meetings I've attended, that hasn't always been the case. And I mean, I don't want to pick on anybody, but that's why I got involved. I wanted the chance to.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for the moderators? Okay, seeing none, I will close out the moderator portion. I'm going to give 30 seconds per candidate, and I will announce who gets to go first, second, and third, and you get to have some closing remarks. And we're going to start with Mr. Frazier. You get some closing remarks if you want to say anything.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I appreciate you being involved and listening. It's a very important thing, even though it's, a lot of people look at it as a minor races or whatever. It's very important to us. But thank you for being involved, and thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. And up next is Mr. McNally. Some closing remarks.
I also want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and for the questions you submitted. I'm just looking for the opportunity to prove myself to you all in this position. I'm not going to know everything right in the beginning, but I'm going to work hard to do the job correctly for the town.
Okay, thank you. And last, Mr. Miller, some closing remarks.
I echo what my opponents have said, that thank you very much for coming. I wish more people had come, but this is great that you came. I love being your moderator. I enjoy town meeting government. I like running a meeting, and if you'd like me to be back to do it again, I hope I can get your vote in a few weeks. And but putting that aside, come to town meeting and tell your neighbors and so forth, because it's an important night coming up in a few weeks. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to try to go through the select board questions, and I'm going to ask them the same way we were doing it before, back and forth, and then the next one starts with the opposite candidate. Okay. All right, so Mr. Harry, if a select board member is involved in active litigation against the town, causing the taxpayer extra money for special litigation, legal counsel, and various costs, how can he or she state he cares about the community?
I'll say this is a great example of people being able to voice their opinions, because that is genuinely what matters. Because someone's involved in active litigation against the town doesn't mean they're incorrect. I would venture to say that they probably feel the way they do because they were put in a position they were put in. Things like no due process, shutting down businesses at people's homes without any kind of inspections, things like that, it could upset residents very much so. And if it wasn't me litigating against the town, I would hope somebody else would if it occurred on their property. So saying that someone doesn't care about the town is kind of incorrect. I think if nothing else, it shows that I care greatly. I'm at lots of meetings, voice my opinion all the time, ask questions, do research, and find situations where I can ask the questions I need to, and people may not like the question, but that doesn't mean I'm incorrect.
All right, thank you. And Mr. De Bruin, the same question to you. If a select board member is involved in active litigation against the town, causing the taxpayers extra money for special litigation, legal counsel, and various costs, how can he or she state he cares about the community?
Well, I think the biggest issue with that question is the fact that it creates a clear and unavoidable conflict of interest at many levels. And the problem is that it will create questions of impartiality, questions about judgment, questions about the ability to cooperate with other leadership within the community. And I think that, what's important to the residents is that the residents have a select board and leadership that is able to work cooperatively together, that's able to approach real problems with real solutions for the residents, and they cannot be distracted by personal legal entanglements with the community. I'm a lawyer, so I'm very familiar with litigation. I understand it.
Thank you. Okay, and then for Mr. DeBruin, do you currently have any pending litigation against the town or any resident of the town? If so, please explain.
I personally do not. Actually, in my profession, it's highly unlikely or improbable that I would, at a professional level, have any interaction with the town of Brimfield. The realm that I work in is not something necessarily where I would have that type of conflict that would arise. And so, if there ever was a conflict, I would have to abide by the conflict of interest laws in Massachusetts. And I would first and foremost meet my obligations as an elected select board member, because I've gained the trust of voters here in this town. But no, currently I have no conflict or connection to litigation associated with the town.
Thank you. All right, and Mr. Harry, do you currently have any pending litigation against the town or any resident of the town? If so, please explain.
Of course, I do currently have a court case in land court. It is case 26-MISC 000216. Anybody would like to go read the brief? I think it's pretty well spelled out, what I'm trying to do. And there are conflict of interest laws and ethics laws and things to not violate, even if you are part of the board. So just because I'm running for select board doesn't mean I should forego my rights as a citizen of this town. If I feel I'm wronged, or if any other citizen feels they're wronged, they should be able to bring litigation if they have exhausted all options in town. And that would be right from the no due process in the beginning, to complaining to the select board, nothing happening, to appeal to the ZBA and it not being overturned. Next step in course of action is land court. So I'm following the steps you're supposed to follow legally throughout the process here.
Right. Thank you. Okay, and this next question appears to be a two-parter. It's for Mr. Harry to begin with. Is being a select board member political to you or about serving your community? And then if you say it's about serving your community, what have you done to serve your community?
Of course, this is about serving your community. And that doesn't mean necessarily every time just what have you done to serve Brimfield. I feel that on the Age-Friendly Disability Commission, we tried to make headway. Being a select board member, clearly it shows I have nothing to gain by doing this. I'm genuinely taking a lot of flack every day, and the court case is part of it. Being accused of things that have not happened is another part of it, but I'm still here, and I want to serve this community. And it's making me move forward and try harder, because the people who aren't being heard need to be heard. And that's why I keep going. There's no conflict and there's no anything when you're just trying to serve and help the people who aren't heard. And that's all I'm trying to do. So no matter what anybody says or tries to prove here, I want to help everybody that's listening, that's sitting here, whether I agree, disagree, doesn't matter. I'm here to help you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and to Mr. DeBruin, is being a select board member political or about serving your community? And then if you said it's about serving your community, what have you done to serve your community?
Well, when my wife and I moved here 10 years ago, we hit the ground running. We love this community. My wife volunteers hundreds and hundreds of hours of her time. I volunteer. I've been a Tantascwa soccer coach. I've been, on the building committee. I've been a town constable. I volunteered to go to voting day. And I've been an OPACUM board member based right here in Brimfield for 10 years in the finance and administration area. So I am 100% about service to my community. I have zero political aspirations at all. I'm here to just put my experience to work for the residents of the town.
Okay, thank you. All All right, the next question is to Mr. De Bruin. If a select board member is involved in active litigation against the town and harming, I'm going to guess, so harming town employees and volunteers from various departments and commissions, how can he attempt to serve the town if he constantly has to excuse himself?
Well, these questions appear to be geared towards not me, and I want to be fair about this in my response. And I'm just going to be consistent in my response, which is, I think the biggest question here is the conflict of interest that it creates and the ability to be a representative of every community member. Litigation, as I said, I'm familiar with it. I'm a lawyer. It's always a choice. It is not necessarily something that you have to do. There are always alternative solutions to problems out there. Even lawyers don't necessarily like to litigate cases all the time. I'm familiar somewhat with the matter, and quite honestly, there's a special permit process that folks can go through, variance processes by following the rules, and effectively we can still support, commercial enterprises in these districts.
Okay, and for Mr. Harry, the same question. If a select board member is involved in active litigation against the town and harming town employees and volunteers from various departments and commissions, how can he serve the town if he constantly has to excuse himself?
I mean, there's rules in place for abstaining from voting. It happens all the time with people who own businesses on Route 20. You can't vote on things occurring down there. So it's in place to not vote on the things and not take action that would adversely affect anyone for anything relating to me or anyone else who was on the board. It's very scrutinized, clearly. We pay attention all the time. If somebody does vote on something they're not supposed to, the open meeting law violations can be filed. And harming town employees is kind of a stretch when you're litigating something that has occurred to you as a citizen. I think just following what you're supposed to be able to do by the letter of the law. And yes, there are approvals and variances and special permits, but if you can't even get a fair shake in the beginning, I don't think that process is going to work very well.
Okay, this question is for Mr. Harry. As a voting citizen, I keep hearing about the lack of transparency. Can you please speak more about the issue? What exactly does that mean? Specifically, how in your opinion is the town not being transparent? And if elected, how and what would you do to change that?
I said it earlier, the select board is a conductor, a conduit to the people. The select board is not supposed to be making the decisions solely on their own. There are building committees, age-friendly disability committees, there's the FinCom, there's all these boards and committees that support the select board in the town. It should be a gathering point of information, and we should not be making decisions selected by 5 people in town. It should be residents giving their input, all these boards and committees giving the input. We had 2 special town meetings to purchase 19 Main Street. I don't feel there was a lot of information that went straight to the residents. Costs still weren't determined very well when we went to vote on it, and it got voted down because of that, I believe. So instead of holding knowledge in 5 people, I think it should be out to the community and out to the boards and committees to disseminate that information.
Okay, and Mr. De Bruin, as a voting citizen, I keep hearing about the lack of transparency. Can you please speak about that issue? What exactly does that mean? And specifically, how, in your opinion, is the town not being transparent? And if elected, how and what would you do to change that?
Well, first off, transparency is actually built into the open meeting law. So, when municipal governments and town governments follow that, and chair people follow that to boards and committees, then that transparency is defined within that open meeting law. Having said that, I can tell you, in my volunteering service with the building committee, we made it a point to commit to the voters' transparency. In fact, we put more documents and more information online available to the residents about our buildings than anyone had before us. Engineering reports going back a very long time period. We invited folks to our meetings. We organize information sessions, and I would do that as a select board member as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question is, again, for Mr. DeBruin. Digital permitting. Residents voted to fund Permit Pro. Its use was later made optional. Should departments be required to use voter-funded systems?
Well, this is something that's a bit near and dear to me because I'm very familiar with building permits, being a construction lawyer, part of my concentration. And, in the construction realm, we very rarely do any paper-based projects now. Everything's done electronically. It makes for more efficiency. It tracks things for assessors. It really does a good job in managing these projects. I'm in favor of any sort of technology that creates efficiency for our employees to do their jobs, and at the same time eliminates needless costs. So I would say that I would obviously have a dialogue with our employees about the technology systems that they have access to, see if we can make improvements, and maybe there are alternatives out there that we should be using as well.
All right, and Mr. Harry, residents voted to fund Permit Pro. Its use was later made optional. Should departments be required to use voter-funded systems?
I agree with Mr. DeBruin pretty much fully on this one, especially with the fact that the residents were given the opportunity to vote on it and fund it, and then it was made optional. So it should have been maybe readdressed next town meeting if we weren't going to go that route anymore, but there was a reason it was presented. It was a good solution. I know plenty of towns use Permit Pro. Maybe there's issues, sure. Every system, every electronic system and database can have issues, but you work through them through new trainings, keeping up with any new releases of it. You should be really trained to that level of the new releases. And I think Mr. DeBruin was correct that paper-based anything is not ideal at this point in time. Everything you can do is online. So that's how it does save time, money, and effort to go that route, so we should be doing that.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then this next one is also for Mr. Harry. The building department does not accept online emails, permits, or documents. Do you support requiring consistent digital access across all departments?
Fully agree, especially as being a former member of the Age-Friendly Disability Committee. There's citizens in town who may not be able to get to the town hall. We take that for granted sometimes. I know I can walk down there. I may complain about a work schedule for not being able to get there, but some people genuinely cannot physically get there. Emailing is key. Returning emails from the departments. The department head should be returning emails to citizens when they get them. And again, online permitting, online applications, online approvals, that would make things so much easier.
All right, thank you. And Mr. DeBruin, the building department does not accept online emails, permits, or documents. Do you support requiring consistent digital access across all departments?
I think digital access and technology, like I said, is really important for efficiency, and I think that we have to find what's right for the residents as well as the employees that work for our town. I've implemented technology across the corporate world before for things that I'm responsible for, and I've learned that it's important to have a collective dialogue about those technologies. But I will also say in my work in the building committee, we discovered early on that digitization of all of our records is extremely important from a storage perspective for our buildings. We have some departments who have worked diligently on that and have done a lot of storage through volunteer efforts digitally. And we still have a long way to go, and, as a community, we can work on that together.
Okay, thank you. Also to Mr. DeBruin, before switching from Permit Pro to another software, should the town issue a formal RFP that includes a full cost and risk comparison?
This is a great question because I don't necessarily know what that cost would be, but the procurement laws, which are Chapter 30, require bids when you're going out above $50,000. Bids below $50,000, you have to use good business practices. And what I would say is that it doesn't matter if it's Permit Pro or anything else, what we should do is we should be using good business practices with those types of goods and services. So I'd be in favor of trying to get competitive bids no matter what we're spending our money on. In my role in the finance and administration with OPACUM, a nonprofit, we do the same thing. We put work and things out to bid to get the most competitive price for our organization that has, limited resources. And I would suggest and encourage the town to do the same thing.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Harry, before switching from Permit Pro to another software, should the town issue a formal RFP that includes a full cost and risk comparison?
Definitely, but first and foremost, the request for information from the departments would be more important to me. If Permit Pro was selected in the first place and for some reason it's not the best choice now, we need to know why. We can get all the quotes and numbers and financials we can get from the incoming potential new suppliers, but we would have to understand fully what the departments needed, top to bottom. So if we go with Permit Pro again or another, if it benefited one department but made another one disadvantaged in some way, we need to know that. So that matters when you go out for RFP, because if you're covering more bases with one product, you can actually drive costs down in the end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to Mr. Harry, my question to both prospective selectmen, how are you going to handle social media? Thank you.
Clearly, I love social media. Everybody knows that, and that's okay. I've actually posted quite a bit about, I know we're not Auburn, Mass., but I post about Auburn, Mass. A lot. They post near daily or every other day, upcoming events, the calendar, how people submit to have questions added to the town meeting. Those are all things that we should be advocating for in Brimfield as well. We're not as big as Auburn, sure, but citizens should have all of the information necessary. I know there's a social media policy, I think, but I don't know if I've seen it, the public's seen it. I know the elected officials and appointed or hired people have that policy. But again, citizens, for whatever anybody wants to say, citizens have the right to post on Facebook, and that's just the First Amendment.
All right, to you, Mr. DeBruin, how are you going to handle social media?
Well, I'm not a social media guy. Like I said, I have a lot of work to do. I'm a serious individual. I have to be disciplined and organized, and people rely upon me for results. So I spend my time solving problems. That's what I do. And I understand that social media is important to some people for access. You know, I've only been able to observe our Brimfield community page. Truth be told, I just asked to join the community page. We'll see if they let me in. And quite honestly, I looked at the rules on the community page, and I question whether or not it might be important for the select board to have our own community information page where we can at least publish things that are real information coming from the boards and the committees.
Okay. All right, we are now at 7:17. So I'm going to grab randomly 5 questions. We're going to ask those, and then we will open up the floor to questions from the audience, and hopefully call it a night. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. To Mr. Harry, have you attended any of the recent budget planning meetings, and did you learn of any areas in which we can improve, especially in regards to the school and trash contracts?
So I've not attended any of them recently. School's always going to be one of the biggest expenses with our taxes. I know the roof is an issue at this point. I think there's going to be a plan in place for that. It sounded like via the capital planning committee. The trash contract's a big deal. We were told, it was 2 years ago at this point, we were told we could opt out if we'd like to. We could go back to the town hall and get a rebate or an abatement for if we didn't use it. That didn't pan out to be that. That wasn't true, and now it sounds like it's going to be going up over 20%, I think I heard the number was. So while people were led to believe a certain thing about the trash contract, we are now going to be higher than we were, no opt-out option as part of taxes, and people still have other services, private services in town, so it's going to be a big expense and just something to watch out for.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Mr. DeBruin, the same question. Have you attended any of the recent budget planning meetings, and did you learn of any areas in which we can improve, especially in regards to the school and trash contracts?
Yes, I first attended the public hearing for the school committee budget and the presentation of that. I've reviewed that budget thoroughly. I think that with increased teacher salaries, we're about 2.78% increase over last year. That's actually low compared to the average around the Commonwealth. The average is about 4%. So we're doing well there, but we have to keep a close eye on those expenses. And there is no capital improvement planning within the school budget for things like roofs. So that's where we're going to have to really plan accordingly. I also attended the Finance Committee meeting review of the entire budget, and I'm very familiar with the trash contract. I think that we need to take a close look at that contract, possibly bid it out, and we need to look at their tonnage allocations and their calculations and do an audit of that contract, including daily logs. And I would be supporting that as a select board member.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then the next question is also for Mr. DeBruin. Do you know how much excess money goes into the general fund from the antique show?
I'm going to be honest, that's one area that I have not been able to speak about with the finance people. But what I do know is that as a community, we are not necessarily in the business ourselves of making profit. The field owners, of course, are in the business of making profit and also making sure that their fees are offsetting the taxpayer burden on the services that we have to provide. I think that we need to make sure that things are being handled fairly, and at the same time, you know, I'll probably take a further look at the details of that. But I support, you know, the folks who are carrying on the history of this community. I travel nationally, and there are people that I've met on the West Coast that know about Brimfield because of that antique fair, and it's very important to the face of our town.
All right, and same question to Mr. Harry. Do you know how much excess money goes into the general fund from the antique show?
I don't know the exact number. I do know the bylaws are in place to support it. I'm unsure how it's working at this point, but again, like Mr. DeBruin said, strong supporter of being a capitalist. I think you should be able to make as much money as possible in this world. So I support any business owner trying to do that. And based on what I've seen, I believe there was past litigation on us not being able to make any profit on the market. So I'm unsure where that currently sits, because I wouldn't think that any money going back to the general fund would be acceptable. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this next question also to Chris Harry. What is your position on the antique shows?
I just said it clearly. Again, capitalist by nature. I appreciate anybody that's worked that hard to bring it to what it is and to continue on for the generations it's been going through. I think people have brought up bylaws at this point with me and my business, the same thing. I think if people are following bylaws, that's all that really matters. And make sure things are safe is one of my biggest catching points with the market or anything else going on in town. So as long as the processes and things are in place to make the community safe and the visitors safe, that's all that matters to me.
All right, and Mr. DeBruin, what is your position on the antique show?
Just to echo what I said previously, I think it's a great event. I think that, again, for a community as small as Brimfield, to be nationally known. We have folks that come over internationally. I spoke to a person last week who told me about these individuals that have shipping containers sent over here from Japan just to sell their wares in Brimfield. It's been on TV, it's in magazines, and this is a history of our community that, again, I applaud the field owners for maintaining over this long period of time. At the same time, I'm very cognizant that it can't become a burden to the taxpayers within the community. And that's why I say it's about being equitable and using equity with the field owners and making sure that they can continue their business and we as taxpayers don't have to deal with that burden of the services.
Okay, also to you, I appreciate that most committee members are volunteers. However, how would you address members that act outside of the scope of their authority?
Well, first, I'm not aware of necessarily members acting out of their scope of authority. But if I was approached by a resident who had a concern about a particular committee or a committee member, I certainly would do my due diligence. And that due diligence obligation is even if that committee member was a pal of mine. It doesn't matter. As a select board member, I take it seriously. When a resident comes to you with a complaint about something, you have to do your due diligence. And hopefully, if it's not within your purview to resolve, because there are other elected boards in this community, it's at least an obligation of that leader to help that individual have a path to some sort of resolution for their issue. And that's how I would handle it.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Harry, I appreciate that most committee members are volunteers. However, how would you address members that act outside of the scope of their authority?
I'm glad Mr. DeBruin brought that up. Again, resident comes to you with any kind of issue, it doesn't matter who the resident is, friend, not friend. You are supposed to do the best for the residents, not 50% of the residents, not 90%. Every resident you possibly can help, you should be helping. If somebody's acting outside of their scope and outside of their responsibilities, they should be held accountable. And that's why we have the things in place for appeals, appeals for litigation, open meeting violations. That's why all those things exist. It's not so that frivolous things can be filed. It's so that citizens have an avenue and a path to go down if they feel they're not being heard or they've been wronged or they're not getting what they need to get from the town.
Okay, thank you. And also to you, this is our last question before we open up the floor. What challenges do you see our full-time and benefited employees facing, and how did you come to learn of them?
So, full-time and benefited employees in town, the payroll is a big part of our budget. If we can't get things under control in the next few years and the trash contract explodes or immediate emergency renovations have to happen and we're depleting our funds, eventually those people will bear the burden of potentially having job loss or consolidation or no pay raises, reduction in benefits. All these things can happen. The volunteer members of these boards and committees are very important. The people who work daily that are hired to support the entire town, they're extremely important, and they are the continuity that keeps this place going forward. If the boards and committees turn over or select board members turn over, that's fine, but the constant, continuous employees that have been here for years are the ones that hold the knowledge. We need to support them.
Okay, and the last question we're going to ask tonight before opening up the floor to Mr. DeBruin, what challenges do you see our full-time and benefited employees facing, and how did you come to learn of them?
So I want to say that our employees are some of the hardest working people in this community. The highway personnel, we see them out there all the time, our police, our teachers, the folks who work in the annex. On limited resources, they run this community. And one of the things is I've been speaking to employees and department heads in preparation for being a candidate. I've discovered that there's a pull or a tug of war between compensation and attracting talent versus benefits costs and benefits issues. Some of our employees can't even afford to opt into the 60/40 health insurance because their salary is not high enough for them to do so. So we need to talk with our employees and find some solutions for them, and we need to support them because they're here for us and they're part of our community.
All right, thank you. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so how many folks want to ask questions? One? And anyone else? Okay, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if you could line up in the center, I'm going to hand you the microphone. You'll be allowed to ask your question. The candidates will have 30 seconds to respond, and they will simply alternate if you guys can manage that amongst yourselves. So you are allowed to ask questions that are to an individual as well. So, but it will be 30 seconds. All right.
Hello, my name is Clea Vivaritas, 6 Mill Lane Road. I am a flea market owner, and my question is directed to Mr. Harry. In 2023, you put forth 4 bylaws at town meeting which would have effectively put us field owners out of business, including one which would have required us to have thousands of tents up 1 week before the show and 1 week after the show, which is absolutely impossible to do for any, unless Superman showed up to do it. So I was happy to hear you say something different here tonight, and I would like to know what it is that has changed your opinion of this in the last 3 years.
I appreciate the question. I'm going to be honest and tell you what happened at that time. I did not write those. I did not put them forward. Again, with me going along with every citizen should be heard, the person who did write them and put them forward didn't want to stand up. So I wanted them to go to the floor because I felt it important for that person to be heard. It wasn't me that wrote them, and so nothing's really changed. It's just that, again, that's what happened in that situation. So I did not write those or put them forward. But I'll tell you, I do appreciate what you all do and the way you've made this work for so many years.
Thank you.
Hi again, Eric Jager. I have not moved in the last half hour, 1497 downtown Brimfield Road. My question is for the 2 selectmen candidates. As evidenced by the discussions we had at last year's town meeting and then the 2 special town meetings, it's clear that what to do about the town hall is a very contentious thing. And a lot of residents have very strong opinions about it and feel maybe they're being heard, maybe they're not being heard. We hear things about saying, well, the town doesn't want to do anything, but as evidenced by the new public safety center, the town is willing, it seemed at times when given a really good plan and a lot of transparency, to move forward on something that has a high budget attached to it. So what would you do in order to try to move the plan forward? Because I mean, I've been in town for 20 years, and this has been, ever since I've been to meetings, this has been a thing. And I know as a resident, I would like to move something forward on it, but have yet to see a plan that was decent enough to do that.
Okay, Mr. DeBruin, we're going to let you go first.
Sure. So As part of the building committee, we were actually praised by my opponent with, fighting hard to bring multiple options to the community. Our job was very specific. We did that job. We put forth a proposed project. I would say that we gave the voters all the information that they needed to make informed decisions, and the voters spoke. I support what the voters say. And, right now,
We'll talk later.
I got
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, my mistake, yes, go ahead.
that was a quick 30 seconds.
I did support that fully, and I sat at one of the last meetings the building committee had with the 5 proposals they put forward. I strongly feel those should have gone to the ballot. I think that the citizens would have selected one of them. I feel that maybe the town hall project was given as this is what it's going to be, we're going to work with this, and the parameters weren't really expanded for you. I think those 5 solutions that you guys put forward were great, though, and people would have voted for one of them for sure.
Thank you.
Roseanne Bergdahl, Kugel's Drive, Brimfield, Massachusetts. I have a problem with public speaking, so sorry. Take it slow. This is for Chris Harry, and I want to state that it appears that you become a victim the moment you're held accountable for any personal violation. In addition to the lawsuit you're bringing against the zoning board, I noticed that there was another piece of paper that said retaliation you had filled out, listing about 10 or 12 people on various committees, including myself, who was on the historical committee. So my question is, how are you going to sit on the select board when you have to excuse yourself because you're like the common denominator in going against all these committees? You're not going to be able to sit here half the time. And if this rate keeps up, you're never going to be sitting here. So what are you planning on doing about that?
Sure. Well, I know you're not on the historical committee anymore, so that's not an issue. You could say there's a common denominator of me, or the common denominator is that there's a lot of attacks going on. Frivolous, no trespasses, things like that had no basis or finding. Those kind of things I have to deal with, and that's fine. But
What about all the witnesses that did come forward? And there is a basis. There's plenty of witnesses.
you can put it longer if you want, it's fine.
Okay, all right.
There's 4 or 5 different women that could stand up and say that you harassed them and that you've gone against them.
So,
And you've
I'm gonna ask that
trespassed.
we-
I'm fine. I'm
well,
okay.
I'm going to ask that we not do back and
Okay.
forth, if that's okay?
I would love to
Thank
see
you.
those things in writing
You
and
did.
sworn to. I did not see anything, honestly. I'll look now, though. I appreciate you.
Appreciate what? How are you going to sit on the select board? You didn't answer my question.
You
When
can be
you-
impartial. Just because you have a problem with someone or something doesn't mean that you can't sit on a board or committee.
But you have to excuse yourself every single time a committee comes
Okay.
up here.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
I don't think that's accurate,
No
but-
back and forth for this. It's not a debate.
Is it possible that I could have extra time to answer Mr. Yeager's question
Because he was
Yeah,
given some extra time, I will give you extra time as well.
I think he'd appreciate it.
Yep.
So what I was going to go on to say was that because of the massive fiscal responsibilities that we have as a community, one of the things that we have to consider also is just simply maintaining our assets. It's something that I said over and over again in the building committee information meetings alongside the proposed project. And I think it's our first priority to address those critical items that have been sitting around in these buildings for 10 years. 2016 was the first time that we had critical items necessary to fix in that town hall, and we need to maintain simply those assets.
Okay, and next.
Cindy Scavera, Dunham Town, Palmer Road. This is for both candidates. I feel there's a large divide among residents who have deep roots here with several generations, having lived in town, and those who have lived here for many less. To me, it often seems they do not like our way of life, even have downright disdain, and want to change a town that we, at least speaking for myself, do not necessarily want changed, and I question, why did they move here? How would you work to bridge that gap that is adding to the deep division in our town?
All right, I'm going to start with Mr. DeBruin.
Well, I'm a newbie because I've only been here for 10 years, but we moved here because we love it, and we love the face of this community. I don't, necessarily want massive changes or development in this community. I like it here, it's quiet, and quite honestly, in order to have that dialogue with other residents who want to make changes, it's a dialogue, and it has to be open, respectful, and professional. But my personal opinion, I love it just the way it is.
Okay, and Mr. Harry?
Definitely have to mirror some of those things. We chose to move here. I'm from West Brookfield originally, moved all over the country and world, and it's very quiet here and nice. People wanting to change things isn't always a bad thing, but again, if they're heard and people just discuss the things, I think that we can get it all open and talk about whatever it is they're trying to do. This town votes just like any other town or city in the state and country, and that's how you control things, right? People get what they want by voting. So,
I don't feel like my question was answered, but okay.
Bill Cantel, 1230 Downtown Road, Building Commissioner and Zoning Enforcement Officer. Assuming one of the major considerations of the select person is the protection towards citizens and administrative costs, if a citizen came to you for advice after they're receiving a notice of violation of Brimfield zoning bylaws, and after losing an appeal with the Building Zoning Board of Appeals, would your advice be, A, stop the activity cited, 2, or B, work within the Massachusetts general bylaws and the town of Brimfield zoning bylaws to change or modify the language or restrictions of the cited bylaw, 3, start a lawsuit against the ZBA and the town, or some other solution?
Okay, on random selection, Mr. Harry is first.
sure. Well, given that there's pending litigation between you and I, well, I'm going to be honest.
No, it's the zoning board of appeals.
Zoning enforcement officer as well. So these things keep being brought up, but if there's a path and process. That path and process is clearly being followed. Land court accepted my documents, and they agreed to rush the hearing, and I'm going to work on a stay to stop the things. But I have not done the things that I'm not supposed to do since you gave me the enforcement notice.
All right, and Mr. DeBruin?
Well, I would first advise the resident, if they get a cease and desist from our zoning enforcement officer, they have to abide by that, and they have to comply with it. Second, I would explain to the resident that there is a special permit process and various process that you can go through to get your commercial enterprise, approved in that zoning area. And that's the route that I would encourage the individual to go.
Could I ask one more question?
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, sure.
It's been brought to my attention the town of Munson is paying $120,000 annually for their permit process, their online permit process. They're using a competent permit process organization, not one that is, to say a better term, a dollar store. Would you approve that type of expense for the town of Brimfield, assuming that it would be at least $80,000, which is what I found it to be for most towns of our size, to institute online permitting?
Okay, Mr. DeBruin.
I would have a hard time with that type of investment. I think it's a lot of money to spend on a technology program, especially given the other fiscal concerns of the community. We have to be responsible here. If there was some magic that this technology did, I might want to consider it, but that goes back to my previous context, which was to talk to the employees, see what's working for them, what's not, and also find alternatives that could replace it.
All right, and Mr. Harry.
I agree. That's a tough pill to swallow for a small town. We talk about standardizing and digitizing things. It doesn't have to be a official permitting process through. through a system. We could even go as far as on base level, having forms, landing page forms people could fill out with the information they need to upload documents. That's a good interface between the building department and citizens. Instead of a giant expense, we could do something like that, Microsoft Forms or some kind of landing page.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so based on random selection here, Mr. Harry, you have 30 seconds for closing remarks, should you have any.
So again, I've been advocating all night that people have a right to say what they need to say, to address who they need to address in this town, and that's no different from me tonight or me if I was on the select board. You should have an open line of communication to those you choose to elect, whether you vote or not. And I think it's important to know that if I do get elected, I would support everyone in town. It doesn't matter who you are, what kind of issues we've had in the past. If you came to me in the select board with a problem, I would assist you to the fullest extent I possibly could.
Thank you very much. And Mr. DeBruin, closing remarks.
So I have 31 years as an executive and as a lawyer. These are qualifications that I believe will add value to the select board and value to the community as well. I've demonstrated through my volunteering that I can work cooperatively with anyone and everyone, even when you disagree with me. I have no business in town, no commercial business. I'm not buying up real estate or property. I have no scores to settle with anyone. I'm doing this solely for service to my community.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. It's a good candidates night. And everyone kept it more or less under a minute, so that's great.
Mr. Fraser, it was nice meeting you.
All right.
Can you play conduit? About what?
I appreciated it. Thank you. Good job.